What's going on, gamers? It is Brucey Sprue back with the 17th installment of my Nothing Special series. We're still going after 99 Slayer, and we got a Thermy task after only a couple skips. So, Thermy guide, let's get after it. The only hard requirement for Thermy is going to be 93 Slayer. It's kind of like Kraken, where it's a pretty high Slayer requirement for a nice and easy boss, and you will need to be on task to kill Thermy since he is a Slayer boss. The soft requirements are going to be 90s in your combat, 90s plus, and that shouldn't be too hard with 93 Slayer. You're also going to want 49 or 70 prayer for redemption or piety. There are multiple methods to kill Thermy. In this video, we're just going to be focusing on the redemption method, but you can safe spot, you can walk under, blood barrage, POH method. There's tons of ways to get that KC in. But for the redemption method here, for the gear that you're going to want, is pretty much max melee and then Missouri or Carol's. I'll throw up the wiki just for fun, but it's a little bit scuffed. And then beyond that, you're going to want a Ring of Suffering imbued with recoil charges. And that, along with Carol's or Missouri, is going to give you extra magic defense because Thermy is going to roll your mage defense for his attacks. So you're also going to need a Slayer helm or a face mask because there is smoke in the dungeon that will kill you. And you're going to need to wear one or the other. Also, hot take here, Tent Whip might be better than Fang at Thermy. It does fucking slap. Try it out. Just trust me. And you don't really need a spec weapon here. Claws are going to be the best one, but nothing else really matters too much. Maybe an SGS to extend trips a little bit if you wanted. The inventory is pretty simple. I just bring house tabs to tally out, and then a rune pouch with runes for Alks and to hold some of the runes that Thermy drops. A couple super combats, and the rest just filled with prayer pots. And bring an imbued heart if you have one, or pre-pot the heart at Castle Wars Bank if you have one. If you want to do that, it's going to help your mage defense out a little bit. And I would not bring super restores here. You're really using a lot of prayer pots and kind of wasting it to heal. So super restores would just be a crazy waste of money, I think. But if you're rich, then go ahead. Why not? But otherwise, I would just bring regular prayer pots and a spec weapon as well in your inventory if you want to do that, but like I said, it's not really necessary. So to get there, Thermy is, he's pretty easy to get to, I would say. There's a couple ways, two main ways really that you can get to him. Gonna be the BKP fairy ring down here. This is where his dungeon is. You could take the BKP fairy ring. I don't see why you would ever do that though. It's about the same distance as the Castle Wars teleport. So I just use that from my house and then run down. It's pretty much the same distance, and you have really you don't need to bring a Drummond staff. There's really no need to do this. Even with Lumbee Elite, I'd probably still use house tabs and run from this bank here because you can just restore your house and bank and then run down. I don't really think you would ever really want to use that fairy ring at all. So let's get into the method here on how to kill Thermy using the redemption method. This is how I get there. Just teleport with the jewelry box. You can bank here if you need to, and then run down over to Thermy's lair. I would disable the smoke here. You can right click on the cave and disable it. Otherwise, you're going to have a crazy animation all the time. It's pretty annoying. But this is how I get here. I love the redemption method. It's easy to learn. I think it gets brain dead pretty quickly. I like it because it's unique, and it works honestly great for Thermy because you don't want to be wasting a ton of time eating here. And each inventory spot can heal like 50 to 100 hit points depending on your prayer level. You also get familiar with redemption if you've never used it, so it is more costly than food, but you do make decent GP at Thermy, and I have an excess of prayer pots right now, so why not? So about redemption, it procs when you are hit to below 10% HP without dying, or when you are hit at or below 10% HP without dying. And zeros do count if you are at 10% or below. It will not prevent you from dying, so you have to use it situationally because redemption does not work everywhere. And when it does proc, you are healed for a quarter of your prayer level in hit points rounded down. So I have 82, 81 prayer here. I heal 20 every proc, 20 hit points. Once it procs, your prayer is also entirely drained, no matter how much prayer you have when it procs that, so it's nice to keep your prayer low. And I just like to keep redemption as one of my quick prayers, because you will need to turn it right back on, and you'll need to just sip a prayer pot and quick prayer back on once it does proc, because you'll be at low health and you'll have no prayer points. So sometimes you do have to do it quickly, sometimes, you know, many times in a row, because Thermy can hit 8s, that is his max hit. And sometimes when redemption procs and you have another prayer on, like I do here, I'm using piety as well, it can take a couple ticks for that extra prayer to deactivate, so that's why you see me have to double click the quick prayer button sometimes. Some other tips I have for Thermy though, he does drop prayer pots and food, so make use of those to extend your trips. And like I said earlier, definitely don't bring super restores here unless you're rich. If you're rich too and you want to extend your trips, he does drop sand fuse like you see there, and you can use those to restore your prayer, but I really would not recommend that. I would, however, really recommend 90 hit points, because with less, your redemption proc is going to proc at about 8 hit points, and Thermy can one-shot you at 8 HP, that is his max hit, so I would come here with 90 HP at the very least. You could probably get away with less, but not worth risking it, I don't think. And you can combine this method here with the walk under method if you wanted to. So that's another way to extend your trips here. Thralls can also speed up your kills if you were into that sort of thing as well. You would do the zombie one. I've brought Thralls here before, it's alright. I do think Thermy just has a decent bit of alchables, so I just bring normal spellbook and alchemist. Protection prayers, another tip, they don't help here. His attack is typeless. It's pretty much his ranged attack bonus versus your magic defense bonus, so overheads don't really do much, and that's why we bring the Ring of Suffering imbued. And with recoil charges, that's another tip. You can see the recoil damage really does add up over time here, and it's pretty nice, especially if you're not going to bring Thralls like I do. And like I said, it helps with the magic defense also, so he's not constantly hitting like 8s on you. If you didn't want to bring the Ring of Suffering, just bring a max melee ring. And another tip would be to have sound on, so you can hear the redemption and do it that way. I really like hearing the sound, so I know when to just sip prayer pot and turn the quick prayer back on. It makes it pretty easy. So that's Thermy, guys. It's not a bad boss at all. It's pretty easy. It's easy as all heck, and you should get into it. Really, it's not too bad. So let's take it back to the crib here, and we'll see what kind of loot you can expect from a Thermy task. Alright, so 183 Thermy killed. No fucking pet. But 4.65 million GP made, which is a little high because I pulled 2 uniques, and it's about time too, because I'm over 800 KC at this point, and those are the first uniques I got during this task. I did get the smoke staff, the smoke battle staff at about 725 KC. You can see there the first item, and the occult necklace right after that. I got actually about 730 KC about 5 kills later. And you see those 2 emeralds there? Those are more rare than the occult scam game. Anyways, I kept the sand fuse here because I use them for Nightmare right now, and they're expensive as shit. I'm also keeping the Toad Flax for Sarah Brews, and I'm going to keep the Snapdragon Seeds for farming for Super Restores. I'm keeping all the runes as usual, and everything else I sold. And you do a good bit of alching, honestly, when you're there, too. Honestly, I made, in cash alone, in GP alone, I made 1.2 mil just alching all of the drops that I could, and his cash drops. So that was before selling anything on the GE. It was 1.2 mil. But after I did sell everything on the GE, minus, you know, the stuff that I kept, like the Sarahs and the runes and the seeds and the herbs, I made 3.6 million GP. So that was amazing. That's what you can look at if you are getting a Thermy task. You may not always be pulling the uniques. You probably won't be. It took me 700-ish kills to start getting them even. No pet. But, you know, even without those, you're still making probably 2 or 3 mil-ish. So it's not too bad, and it's quick. It only takes a couple hours. Sometimes you can get, you know, 60 plus, close to 100 kills an hour, depending on the method you use. So definitely come on down to Thermy, have some fun there. And yeah, didn't get any skills, guys, since the last video, so I have nothing to report on that. I'm going to keep slaying. I'm going to keep hunting fox, and I got something planned for hitting 200 subs, which just happened the other day. I couldn't have done it without you all. Honestly, I appreciate every single one of you, and keep on gaming. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.